Alright, everyone. Okay. Alright, make sure your mics are on. Yeah, there would be a red light. Alright, this calls to order the Monday, November 24th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting. First item of business is the introduction of our new commissioner, Doug. Doug, please say it again.
Doug Dalglish.
So, welcome.
Thank you, thank you. It's good to be here. I'm on a learning curve. I do want to make one disclosure that I noticed today while looking at the minutes. And that is, Anna Kostolik is in our firm. So if there's any issues that that's posed, I'll be mindful of that. I don't think it creates any issues, but FYI.
Alright, well, welcome. Alright, next item of business is approval of the meeting minutes for the meeting held on October 27th, 2025. Is there a discussion or a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of the.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Alright, motion passes. Next item of business is item 3, old business, there is none. So moving on to item 4, new business, item A, site plan review for 5811 Cherokee Drive, Fairway, Kansas. As submitted by Martin Minnie, property owner, request exception fence height. Bonzo, will you please provide your statement?
Yes, I'll let my report stand as submitted, and staff does not object to the appearance of the fence, however, cannot support the request as setting precedent. And I'm open to questions.
Any questions for staff?
All right, I can't help myself. How did it occur that an unapproved court was installed next door?
We did not know about that. Actually, the applicant came and to tell us that there was a court that was installed.
So, I mean, if someone does something without notifying us, unless we happen to drive by and see it happening, we're not going to be able to tell. Sure.
And the consequences for that are what?
Well, just to clarify, but is this a was this a permittable situation with the sports board or current?
Yes, that's a special use permit application.
So especially
So they did not go through the process, they just installed it, and we were not aware of it.
it's already pending special use permit application.
We are in the process, the property has already sold, so there's a new owner. And there's a good chance they are coming to apply for a special use permit. We did talk to them and they do want to keep it, but that's gonna be up to discussion when they apply for that.
I'll add, as it's laid out in the background, it talks about the process of that. To where the original property owner was notified in September, they didn't meet the deadlines for this meeting. Or that application would have been on here for the special use permit. Since they also sold it, the new owner has been notified. And has been sent a letter as well, and he's gonna be going through the process and hopefully be on the December meeting. So you know, the original owner that installed it without permits will be receiving a citation for work without a permit.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Any other questions for staff? It appears that the applicant may be here. Are there questions for the applicant?
I have questions for you. They wrote a very long, detailed account that seems to explain it.
No, you don't.
I do not have.
I would agree. I don't have questions. I also drove by it today. And it from the street does not appear to be. It appears to be nice to see. I didn't have any issues with the way it appeared.
I also drove by Santa Conclusion.
All right, is there any discussion?
Just that, I'm in support of granting the exception for the fence height.
Any other discussion?
I would agree.
Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the plan that's submitted and grant the exception for the fence height for 5811 Cherokee Drive.
There a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion passes. Alright. Next item of business is item B, site plan review, 5447 Canterbury Road. Fairway, Kansas, submitted by Bryant Stanley on behalf of James H. Custom Homes LLC. Property owner, request for a new single family resident with exception to the window hierarchy on side elevations. Also, will you please provide your staff?
Again, I'll note my reports that are submitted, the applicant is seeking an exception for the hierarchy situation. Staff is not opposed to the application.
Is there any questions for staff?
Out of learning curve, is that purely aesthetic? Concept, or is there?
Yes, that is correct. So we have it in the code. The upper windows and lower windows need to align. And the upper windows cannot be larger than the lower windows.
Can you, just like last time, do you mind walking us through, just to make sure we're all on the same page on which, so. It appears that it's that, the right elevation. There, on the left side of the right elevation, where we have the 3 little windows and the one larger one below it, is that?
So we have the right elevation and the left elevation.
Oh, okay, so on the right, is it actually the 2 small windows on the right? Could you point us towards what you're,
Yes, so that's the scenario is to the right, and you have those 2 windows and the lower 2 small windows. And then the left is the same as far as the enter. We have that 2 windows with no windows below. I'm assuming it's the same explanation is gonna be the fireplace in that room. With the cabinet on each side of the fireplace.
so I guess I'm still not convinced, I think it's interpretation of our code, but I don't necessarily think. The intent is for us to make them have windows on both stories. The thought process was that the ones above should be smaller than the ones below, it's not. It's really up to interpretation, so.
And just like I said last month, if you guys all agree that that's the interim, then we don't need to apply it as an exception.
And I appreciate you pointing it out, because it's worth us discussing, but that's just my personal take on that. I'm happy to hear other people's
Yeah, I
thoughts.
think my interpretation would be what's on the left elevation technically. Meets the code, but on the right. That'd be my interpretation.
Is the applicant here? So yes.
Yes.
Would you please come up with your name and address for the record?
You turn the mic on, please. Thanks.
Jim Dingle, my address is 7726 Delmar, Prairie Village, Kansas.
Can you maybe walk us through on the right elevation, the reason for the 2 smaller windows versus like larger windows in the area, something on the other side of the wall?
Yeah, as Boswell indicated, there's a fireplace in the center with 2 bookcases on either side, and above the bookcases are the smaller windows.
And is this the same floor plan we recently reviewed, or is this?
It's different, but it has some similar features, that being one of them, but it's a different floor.
Okay.
I think this is when we have looked at this floor plan before. It wasn't what we looked at last month, but the month before, but we have this floor.
So, have you
Or
submitted
they
this
see-
floor plan?
Yeah, that's correct.
At least see our brand is like anything.
Yeah, exactly. And the first time we submitted it, it didn't have the small windows, it had no windows. And at that meeting, I think we decided that if we would install those windows, that everybody would be happy with how the design worked out.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you. So to confirm, we have approved this addition in the past.
I think the rationale is similar, that there was a fireplace involved, and so that's kind of what the consideration was.
Yeah, we. If it wasn't the same, it was very similar, and the transom window up there was what was added, I think. So since those are present on this plan, I would support the approval.
I would agree, I think it meets the review criteria for this request exception.
Just have one clarification as far as the recommendation. They are paying into the tree fund to remove one tree, and our recommendation is per the code to need to install 2 large shade trees. From talking to Public Works, they recommend only 1 shade tree because they still have a signature shade tree.
Do we need to modify a motion if we were to approve it?
Yes, please.
And the modification to that motion would be
1 large
to
shade
add 1 large shade.
instead of 2.
Maybe we'll just go down the line and make sure that we all get a chance to discuss. Commissioner Zwick, do you have any comments? Kimberly?
Not for me.
None other than orange.
No additional comments. No additions.
Nothing additional.
Someone like to make a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the plans as submitted for 5447 Canterbury Road, granting the exception for the window hierarchy and modifying the recommendations from staff to install 1 large shade tree.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes, thank you. All right, next item of business is item C, site plan review for 4100 Shining Parkway, Ferry, Kansas. Submitted by Michael Cicerco of GSI LLC on behalf of tenant occupant Father William Douglas and Vivian Douglas Family Trust, property owner. Request sign deviation for size of temporary window signs and deviation for size number of permanent illuminated wall signs and label sign. Also, will you please break it up?
Yeah, I'll let my report stand as submitted. They are seeking a temporary sign until opening, and then the permanent sign. Staff recommendation, we're not opposed to the installation of the signs, except for the plain sign, we're not supporting.
Can you elaborate on why you're not supportive of that?
It's not in the code, we just have the recommendation that you cannot go more than a foot away from the wall. This sign is going out. So our code is the signs are parallel to the wall. And this is horizontal to the wall. And then go beyond the distance that's required.
Did we approve a blade sign like this for the Phillipston?
Yes, you did, and you rejected another one for Reich Lab and the shops that was denied. I think the Fieldston there was a smaller sign compared to the whole structure. I think that's some of the rationale for approving it.
Any questions for staff?
I have a quick question also. So this sign's like 4 feet tall, 4 feet people on the side. And you're saying that is for that's allowed?
That's a deviation, so you guys are gonna recommend approval to the governing body. For approval. So the applicant is seeking deviation on all the sides.
Do we have questions for the applicant?
I did.
Is the applicant here? Could you please state your name and address for the record,
And
You did.
thank you.
but start with your name and address,
Michael,
or in the microphone.
Sorry. My name is Michael Cicerco. My address is 4267 Arbor Lane, Doylestown, Pennsylvania. And I am here representing Paws and Bebop on behalf of the Tina Hens, or the owners of the business.
Yeah, my question would be just the sign size of this, the, 40-inch tall letters with 14 feet long. Is that being tenant driven, or what's the reason for being so large?
What I would offer is that if you're familiar with the property, it's a rather large property. And we feel that it'll be extremely busy with respect to Starbucks and the traffic going. We feel that it's the minimum necessary in order to identify the property and in a means of all types of safety. Because we realize that there'll be quite a bit of traffic that will be flowing through that shopping center. And we feel it's important to identify it early so that there's no issues with respect to people getting to our business versus the Starbucks and the incoming traffic. I would also kind of offer that we did present it to the owners of the property for their approval, and they haven't.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for the applicant? I guess my question would be, this is a rather large sign. Are there versions of it that are reduced in size that you evaluated?
We've seen versions shorter on smaller buildings and that have smaller facades. This facade is rather large, and we feel that other signs would be rather dwarf on such a large an enhancement that you're seeing at this location.
Thank you. All right, any discussion?
Maybe just a question for staff, sorry, what is actually the limit? I think it's written in here.
As far as signage, so a wall sign, I think it's. Like me, refresh my mind, 30 square feet.
57. Yeah, and I guess I'm not, so 30 square feet, I kind of tend to agree that the facade is quite large and. Suppose we don't have many other businesses in Fairway with a building quite like this. I think a sign this big on like the Fairway shops would not work, but
The Fairway Shop has their own signage agreement. So they have to abide with that document that they have.
Well, in comparison to what the size of the Starbucks sign is. I'm not sure if we know. We agree.
Well, they have a monument sign, so to add it, and then they had, I think, 4 signs on the walls.
Right.
So I think it could be maybe 100 square feet. It's assumption, but we can.
Well, will there just be one sign? Or will there be one side as well as the other side?
No, so there is 2 signs that total 57.71.
Or we're looking at 114,
And then the blade sign.
so 114 square foot for wall sign, basically 116.
Yeah. Cause each one's 4 feet by that, based enough.
Yeah. 4 by
14.
Yeah.
If I may kindly offer, please. The front facade that sign's mounted on is approximately 640 square feet. It's approximately 16 feet in height, and it has the width of, what, the
I guess the better question is the ratio, so you have the side, and you have the sign, so if you make the sign too small, that facade, it was kind of silly. In a sense, so it's not so much about the size of the sign itself, but it's not the actual ratio between the sign and the facade which it's on. We have information on what the ratio for Starbucks is.
No, we don't, but. The sign. One facade is 600 and they're wanting 57, that's gonna be, you want a percentage?
we're less than 10%.
10%, yeah, 100%, I love a calculator, I'll be.
I mean, I tend to agree that it's a big facade. If you make it smaller, it's gonna look dumb.
Is the current based on the presumption of total facade space?
No, it's not.
In terms of the illumination, I guess the sign will be on 24 hours, or will it be turned off at?
Actually, I could offer that the sign won't be on 24 hours. In addition, the sign is designed, it is a halo type or silhouette sign. What that means is that the letters themselves are actually manufactured with aluminum bases. The lighting then shines onto the inside of the aluminum and then backsplashes against the wall to create a silhouette only. When we took into consideration the size, the positioning and everything else, we recognized you have a beautiful city. And you absolutely have a beautiful property over there. Our intention was really just to enhance, rather than trying to clutter it up with unnecessary signage. We really did believe this was the minimum necessary to achieve that goal.
So the sign will only be on during hours of business, or what is that?
I believe what Paul's tries to do is they would have it on, when it becomes dark. And then it would typically turn off around 2 AM. Unless there was an ordinance that would prohibit that, but that's generally what they try to do.
I think part of the special use permit, there was a time as far as operation was granted.
Yeah, just don't remember what that was today, yes, we discussed
I
it.
think it was 5 AM to 10 or 11 PM.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, any other discussion?
I have a question for staff today. So the temporary window signage, that makes sense, like on the TI equipment. Does that like to give you duration on when it comes down, all that graphics?
I think we put in our report that it needs to be out when occupancy is issued or temporary occupancy is issued.
All right, we'll start on this side this time. Do you have any comments or thoughts?
Nothing additional.
Working, I think it looks appropriate. Yeah, I agree. I think I'm in support of granting this.
Yeah, like I said, I think it's a matter of the ratio, so I mean, I think this is a good case to grant an exception because of the size of the side.
I would agree with that, I think it's proportionate to the side size. I think I'm just considering that adjacent properties to the south that have a lot of comments about lighting pollution, and how this would be lighting pollution. Just direct line of sight in the winter once the trees off and stuff, just gives me pause to consider. You know, modifying this for the benefit of concerns for adjacent neighbors on past projects. south of Trail South. Over Bridge. That's where I'm at. I do understand and respect the scale and size of it, but this would be one of the largest signs we've approved. In my recollection. And Starbucks does have more signs, but it's a different brand with their technical logo. Similar to what these guys do. I also did a little research on this tenant. They have multiple locations in some franchises. They've got other locations in cities that have smaller signs than Brady. So there is options for that, but I do understand that this particular facade elevation is to be below under money. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Yeah, I would say the Casey Dental sign is probably a similar type. I'm not sure what that is, we proved that a long time ago,
Full lifetime.
yeah. But I think that's a similar condition, right, as you come around that curve. Going fairly quickly to see that place of business.
I do appreciate, the fact that the colors are somewhat muted, they kind of blend in with the facade, so it's not some sort of garish red or yellow.
If I understood correctly, the lighting. Is the sign itself will not be put up probably like well for behind, so I think that, which is similar to how the lights on you'll set it up, thank you.
Yes,
If I could kindly offer also, it's my understanding that the Starbucks sign is a face lit channel letter. And when you do the comparison to your face lit versus your halo, there's a significant difference with halo lighting. It is much more subtle with respect to a facelit with the lighting coming right through 3/16 worth of that plexiglass and giving a much brighter illumination. This one is done to be a little classier, more subdued, and certainly fitting the property.
This is approved and would it encompass how we're seeing?
great, if there's no further discussion, does someone want to make a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the plans as submitted at 4100 Shawnee Mission Parkway. Grant the exception for the size of the sign.
For a second,
Just for clarity, are we granting exception for the size of the sign and the lit sign, or just the size of the sign?
I was intended for it to be both, but we.
Okay.
we need that further discussion on the plate then.
Personally, no, but I'm not the arbiter of that, the board is that the commission has that for consideration.
Right now, the recommendation does not include the plate sign, I believe. So if we were to support the recommendation, we would not be approving the plate sign. Did not discuss that, so maybe it's worth just discussing that. Making sure we're on the same page.
I personally don't have any objections to blade sign being in retail real estate in my previous life, so I understand the the aesthetic aspects of it. I don't see this as being terribly offensive. That's my opinion, no.
That's my opinion as well.
I could offer too, the positioning of the blade sign is done such that if you notice around that corner, there is a menu board for Starbucks. Our feeling is with respect to the cars that will be parking in that parking lot, it helps aid in the direction with pedestrians that will be entering into the bus location. It helps give some guidance because quite frankly, when people are crossing and other people are pretty eager to get their coffee, we've found that they're maybe not paying attention as much as they should. And we're hoping that this additional signage, which really isn't overly exorbitant by no means, will help give that direction and help aid in safety, really.
Is there a reason that you're not proposing a blade sign for the other, or other business?
The other business doesn't support an area to give that. If it had, we would. It's in the middle, it's actually poised right between the Starbucks and the pause location. So there's no way to really put it. The only place you could possibly put it is located on the pause location, and I'm certain that there's gotta be zoning restrictions about placing signs on properties that are not that property.
They do wish that this blade sign showed up at all three businesses if they were going to do it, so it'd be consistent.
What is the staff's rationale regarding the blade sign?
It's not in the code, and usually I get asked, what's your opinion? I usually say, well, it's really not my opinion, it's your guys' opinion, I don't live in the city of Fairway. So I interpret what the zoning code says. I mean, my reports say, I mean. Yeah, since it's not in the code, then I really don't wanna. Give an opinion regarding it.
So is the rationale, is staff's rationale that because it's not specific?
Since it's away from the wall, it protrudes outside from the wall that distance, so it's not complying with the zoning ordinance.
My understanding, I'm speaking for Sam, but I think the understanding is that anything that's against code cannot be supported as an exception.
That is correct.
Okay, so. I haven't heard anyone against the blade sign, unless one is. But you could modify your motion to include it if you wanted to, or if you think you move your motion, what do you do? Like I said. But, correct? I just.
Why don't I do the door? We do the door.
That's fine, there was no second,
I
so.
got a motion that would approve the plans as submitted for 4100 Shawnee Mission Parkway and grant the exception for the size of the sign and the plate sign
Second,
And the number of signs as well, right?
and the number of signs as well,
And the temporary window signs.
and the temporary window signs.
So basically all the deviations.
All the, yeah, all the deviations.
And was there a second?
second.
All in favor?
I
Opposed?
Aye.
Alright, motion passes.
Thank you, very appreciative.
Oh, you're not all together. Alright, moving on, next item of business is item D. Site plan review for 4150 Shawnee Mission Parkway, Fairway, Cubus, as submitted by Michael Serco of GSI LLC on behalf of tenant occupant P-Ball and William Douglas and Vivian Douglas Family Trust, property owner. Request sign deviation for size of temporary window signs and deviation for size of permanent illuminated wall sign and permanent window signs. Oswald, will you provide your update?
Again, I'll let my reports stand as submitted. Again, he's requesting one. Wall sign, 2 permanent window signs. And the temporary window signs. And staff is not opposed to the application.
Any questions for staff?
This one, I'm gonna show my newbie list, I guess, to the commission. The window signs. They're asking for 876 square feet. But it goes unlimited on the number of signs, but a single sign has to be less than 3 square feet, and they're missing something.
The total for the window sign is 19.3 square feet for the 2 signs.
Maybe clarification, there's a. On the first page under the background, this is about 870 square feet temporary window signs. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
That's the temporary signs, so on this one I manage because I have the facade or the size of the windows, and that's why I put it on this one, not on the other one. The other one was 3 sides. On this one, we have the application for the building itself, so that's why I put the exact number on that.
But I think we don't have a limit, not unlimited, it looks like it's 16 square feet.
That's correct.
But we would be approving the deviation of it being that large.
And it's a 1037.
Thank you.
And it would be similar to the adjacent property, but once occupancy is granted, then sign can be.
The temporary signs will be removed.
Any questions for the applicant while he's here?
So this sign is shorter than the one next door, is that right?
Yeah.
That's just because the facade is different, I suppose.
That's
Can you
correct.
state your name and address for the record again, so we have it?
Sure. My name is Michael Cicerco, address is 4267 Arbor Lane, Doylestown, Pennsylvania, Wayne County. 02.
Can you just ask your question again?
Well, yeah, so this is, well, I guess I have two questions now, so the one that we just approved is next door to this. Now it's a taller sign. Believe, and I think that's, it's a different facade, so I'm assuming, I can't see them next to each other, but I assume it'll look logical. And the other being the question about the lighting. And I think these ones are. Maybe I should just ask, are they where the light comes through the letters, or is it also?
No, I'd be happy to explain. The sign that we proposed for P-Bob is consistent with the design that we proposed for Boss. What is a little misleading with the Boss, if you notice, is that it has a logo, which is the circle and the 2 dashes. So when you are calculating or showing the overall height of that logo is taller, whereas the letters are a little bit smaller and they're consistent with the P-Bob. The P-Bob lights the same way. It is a halo silhouette type signage. And again, staying with a not too brighter crazy color, another color that is not only the brand standard, but it also complements the building and the area.
Any other questions for the applicant?
So this is not a backlit sign, but this, the light comes through, correct?
No, sir. It is actually a backlit sign. It's a halo silhouette type signage. As we would call it, it's a reverse set of channel letters.
So is this dark image, is this supposed to be what it looks like at night?
What the detail of that is.
Sir, this is the representation of the night view.
Forgive me. I'm gonna be pretty embarrassed right now. What they're using is, and it was substituted here, they're using what's called a day-night plexiglass film. And what that means is during the day, the face will have a film on it that during the day will appear black. And at nighttime, it will light up white. The white is toned down because of the film that goes over it, so that it's not overly bright.
So it will be different than.
It will, yeah, it will be different.
Will this be more?
I
similar to
apologize
this?
For that, this is not a halo sign, but it's utility, it's attached directly to the wall.
It is directly to the wall, and it is, as you mentioned, face lit, but with a overlay film.
So this would be more similar to the Starbucks signs.
Yes and no. It would be similar in the sense that, yes, it is a channel letter with a plexiglass face, but it has a film that is diffusing the lighting that is coming through. The comparison with Starbucks, it's just a white face with no film and direct light coming through.
Do you have any specifications for the lumens or the kelvins of this, like the sign at night?
I guess the best way of explaining it, in a layman's terms, would be that the lighting would be at approximately like 60% of what it would be less the film, between 55 and 60%. I didn't do a direct calculations of what all those exactly.
The drawings showed in 1600 Kelvin, that's like a bright light. Daylight light.
Actually, the break would be a 10,000 K if I could. Just off of that. Which is what's standard in the in many Starbucks. We've actually manufactured Starbucks on the East Coast. And spec that they call for is a 10,000 K.
I did put in the recommendation that they need to meet section 15527, which is the lighting performance standard that we have.
Because that'd be my only concern is the Kelvin lumens proper.
Well, there's a black over the top of it. Then the number is not gonna be that number, correct? Because this is the light itself.
Yeah.
The light is, yes, that's the light, but if it's covered up, then it's being reduced to some level, which we don't know.
Well, the 6500 is just the color. As it will indicate the strength.
Right. but
You're actually
black,
correct
you know.
with that. But what you'll find is that when you work with that color, the 65, it's more of a yellowish tan color versus the 10,000 K is more of like a bright white, almost what you're seeing above us. So you have twofold. You have the warmer light that's coming through, and you also have the film that's over top that's even decreasing it more.
So would this be not a very good representation of what it would look like? And seems like maybe it's a little softer than what's shown here.
It definitely would be softer than that. It's hard to illustrate it on paper. Because you're not gonna get the tones that you would, but you're trying to explain that one's white and one's black one of the day.
Any discussion? Sorry about that, Commissioner Webb.
Yeah. Gerald speaks into the staff making the recommendation on having you choose that. I have no issues.
Yeah, I think I addressed my concerns and no issues.
I don't think I have any concerns. Yeah, just trying to be sensitive to the neighbors who came before us a few months ago on the light, particularly what they're seeing from Starbucks, but this in theory is not as intense and it's the intent of the code. Agreed.
No issues.
All right, hearing no issues, someone want to make a motion?
I make a motion, we submit the exception request. We approve the exception request as submitted.
Sorry, second?
Aye.
All those in favor?
I
Opposed? Okay, motion passes to impact. Yeah.
Thank you, very appreciative. Please have a good evening and a light Thanksgiving. Thank you.
Okay, next item of business is item E, site plan review 5935 Reinhardt Drive, Fairway, submitted by Jeff Dunn of the Good Energy Solution. On behalf of Joyce Fire, property owner, request to install roof mounted solar panels. Boswell, please provide your report.
And I will follow, let my report stand as submitted, as staff's recommend approval of the application. We'll open questions.
Any questions for staff? Any questions for the applicant? It appears they are mounted flush with the roof, so I think that is one thing that I've always concerned about, and I'm happy to see that.
We do have the engineer's report for the structural.
there a generator being added, or is that, I see it on the schematic?
That, I think the generator, they already got a permit for it, so there is a generator there.
We're not granting approval over that.
No, they meet the requirement, they do not need to come to the planning commission.
Any discussion? No discussion, as long as-
So it's compliant with code and everything else, and I don't see the objection. Yeah, please, once again.
Someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the plans as submitted for 5935 Reinhardt Drive.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you. Sorry, talk.
The door from there, all right. Oh, thank you guys. Can you think of that is?
Next item is item 5, our next meeting date will be December 29th, 2025, if you will not be present, please let Abby know, so we can make sure we have the card.
I will not be present.
As of today, we don't have an application. Maybe Jim Engel has one, but he has not submitted it.
Is it your Friday?
Yeah, the deadline is no, it's Wednesday.
Oh,
I do believe by bylaws, we're supposed to do the comprehensive plan review in December. But if we do not have any applications, do we move that to January? Okay,
yes.
Maybe it's more, there's no court, right? Oh, if they submit timely,
But,
this report we're talking about,
sure.
yeah, the new owner has until December 1st. I gave him over the holiday weekend to get his application and let me know if he's going to meet the deadline for that. If not, we might be able to work with them a little bit. I know they're trying to get a survey, watershed analysis, and a lot of documents together.
We got 2 new members. Can we also talk about like past, just to prepare for this next competition, we do that one? Traditionally, like sport courts, how they're permitted. So we did another one, I know, a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, we've had a few sport courts over the years, yes.
Sorry.
There's one on Mission Road. 2010.
So generally the process is they come to us with a permit, and Reinhardt has also an approval process for that too, the HOA.
I'm not too familiar with the HOA process.
we don't get involved in that,
We don't,
No.
okay. Is that a precursor to what we? No?
we don't even
Okay.
bother with it, it's one of those things where it's like, it's a private agreement. And so if someone that was in the HOA or a neighbor wanted to challenge them, then yes, they would have to deal with that with them, but the city's not gonna get involved in that.
Okay.
That's true about renovations and new builds also, they
Exactly.
approvals, but we don't.
Gotcha. So then they just submit for this, the permit process with all information's watershed, light analysis, everything,
Correct.
and then that's.
Well, it's not only that, this situation also would require a green space exception, not just the special use permit for the sport court. They have additional hardscape beyond the sport court that's been installed in the backyard as well.
So can we talk, I don't know if we can talk about this, how do we prevent?
You haven't adjourned the meeting, if that's your question.
What,
You haven't adjourned.
we can just open discussion,
Should we adjourn the meeting?
okay,
Just stop recording.
okay, alright, is there a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.